Hello and welcome to Inside the Americas. I'm Molly Hall. Coming up in today's show, the race for U.S. midterm elections is in the final stretch. Americans head to the polls on Tuesday. We take a closer look at the tight battle for the state of Colorado. Well, one of the hot-button issues, immigration reform. The border between the United States and Mexico is one of the world's most porous. France 24 investigates how authorities and local residents on both sides of the border are addressing the issue. And how would you react during a mass shooting? One American company aims to teach people the so-called right way to act during such an event. We take a closer look. But first, the United States is just days away from key midterm elections, and congressional candidates all over the country are in their final campaign push. While the Democrats face increasingly long odds of maintaining control of the U.S. Senate, and one hotly contested state is Colorado, where an embattled Democratic senator faces an increasingly popular Republican candidate.
Cheers, chants, and loud applause. Hillary Clinton is in the room. But the former Secretary of State isn't campaigning for herself yet. Instead, she's stumping for Democratic Colorado Senator Mark Udall. He's fighting the battle of his political career in a midterm face-off against Congressman CORY GARDNER. First Lady Michelle Obama also made the trip to support him.
You need to do everything in your power to re-elect Mark Udall as your senator. We've got to get this done.
Mark Udall must now convince so-called swing voters who are not affiliated to a particular party and vote across the political spectrum.
I'm Mark Udall.
They represent more than 30% of Colorado's voters.
You've all seen the polls, right? Yeah. Ignore the polls. Yeah. The only poll that counts is the poll on election day.
The stakes are higher than ever. Colorado is considered as one of 6 states that could sway the vote and decide which party controls the U.S. Senate, along with Virginia, Montana, South Dakota, North Carolina, and Iowa. Today, Democrats control the Senate with 55 seats, but Republicans only need 6 more seats to retake it on November 4th.
It's time the Senate had a new generation, one that's accountable to the next generation.
That would be me.
Although Republican candidate CORY GARDNER came late to the race, he's been aggressively campaigning in the area since this summer.
Wouldn't it be nice if we had a little more Colorado in Washington and a little less Washington in Colorado?
With Republicans likely to retain a majority in the House of Representatives, Barack Obama could soon be faced with a Congress that's even harder to do business with.
Well, one of the major campaign issues is immigration reform. The border between the United States and Mexico is one of the world's most porous. Well, billions of dollars are spent every year to prevent hundreds of thousands of Mexican migrants from entering the U.S. illegally. Well, a recent poll shows a majority of Americans disapprove of President Obama's handling of the issue. Well, France 24 takes a look at the crisis on both sides of the border. This report by Olivia Salazar-Winspear.
Daybreak in the desert of Arizona. Spider and Axton start their patrol early, armed to the teeth. These U.S. Army veterans served in Iraq and Afghanistan. Now they spend their free time volunteering for an independent vigilante group. Their aim is to stem the flow of illegal immigrants on U.S. soil. They say they're picking up the slack of the Obama administration.
You know, if we didn't do it, who's going to do it? The border's unsecure. You have no idea what's coming through the border. And, you know, I love this country. The government's not going to do it. We got to step up and do it.
A similar desert landscape here in Mexico, 200 kilometers to the south of Arizona. It's a merciless, arid terrain as the graves of these would-be migrants demonstrate. Most of the residents of Altar live off the business of border crossing.
Yes, of course. We've got candles too, if you want to light them at church so that God helps you on your way.
Some locals rent out rooms to those passing through for an evening. Others go further and are in the business of human trafficking. These trucks take migrants to the border, often for a fee of more than 5,000 euros. It's unaffordable for the vast majority of people, but the local mafia provides an alternative. Sarah works in a migrants' refuge where human trafficking is a regular topic of conversation.
Do you remember the young guy with the ponytail? He left here, he's okay. It took him 7 days.
How did he do it, properly or as a mule?
No, as a mule.
What does that mean?
Well, it means that you carry a bag of drugs.
You know, often they don't have any money, so that's an easier option that allows them to cross the border for free, but carrying a package.
If they're caught in the desert in possession of drugs, it's the migrants who suffer the judicial consequences. Those pulling the strings in this lucrative trade are far from view. Organised crime's also a major reason why thousands of people are fleeing countries like Honduras and Mexico and trying their luck at the US border in search of a safe haven.
Okay, come in.
In the dining hall of the centre, these maps of the region show the spots where migrants have died in the desert over the last 10 years. It's meant to discourage others from following in their footsteps.
I don't think about that, because if you think about that, then that's what will hold you back, and I don't want nothing to hold me back right now.
Enrique wanted to avoid becoming a drug mule for the coyotes, but as he has no money to speak of, he's preparing himself for this most dangerous of journeys.
Would you be prepared to go it alone?
Honestly, yes.
Even if Enrique makes it to the other side in one piece, without documentation, he'll have to be on his guard. For him and thousands of others, this desert crossing is just the start of a life filled with anxiety and uncertainty.
Well, you can watch an extended version of that report in Saturday's Reporters program. Well, now to Mexico and a story that continues to captivate the nation. It's been over a month since 43 students disappeared in the southern state of Guerrero. Well, so far, the investigation has failed to discover what happened to the youths, but it has uncovered a disturbing link between authorities and local drug cartels. Well, the revelations have prompted more and more people to speak out in anger.
From Iguala to Mexico City, the case has sparked public outrage. For over a month now, thousands of people have held mass demonstrations over the unsolved disappearance of 43 students in Ayotzinapa.
We're asking for authorities to shed light on this case, to find the bodies, and to track down those responsible.
We're not going to keep silent. The people united here are the real people. The government has to work for us and not for itself.
Several celebrities have joined the fight. Artists, opposition leaders, and last but not least, Mexican soccer player Chicharito. Real Madrid striker recently tweeted a message of support for the families of the missing students with the hashtag #WeAreAllAyotzinapa. On the international stage, the story is still making headlines. The United Nations is also closely following the case and has urged authorities to step up their efforts to find the missing students. The events have highlighted the rampant violence in a country caught between vicious drug cartels and a corrupt state.
I think that this event has served as a catalyzer for the enormous pain felt by families, but also for the will of the people to want political change. Everybody's fed up. And people are still protesting because the public opinion agrees on the fact that our institutions aren't working well.
The vast mobilization of the Mexican people has at least urged authorities to act. The president, Enrique Peña Nieto, has deployed thousands of soldiers to find the students. Authorities have also ordered the arrest of the mayor of Iguala and his wife. The couple, currently on the run, is believed to have ordered the attacks on students.
And finally, how would you react during a mass shooting? Well, that's the question many Americans are asking themselves in the aftermath of another school shooting, this in the state of Washington. Well, one company is offering classes in how to react in case of such an event. Our correspondent went to one of these lessons in the suburbs of Cleveland, Ohio.
We have a gunman in the hallway. I can't stand this school! I hate this school!
This is what they call an active shooter or active killer scenario.
As we turn around, anybody get shot in the hallway?
A lot.
You got who?
2 in the leg, and then I went down.
2 in the leg.
But what to do when the real nightmare happens? These 28 students want to know. The 2-day course is led by Chad Cunningham, police officer and instructor for the ALICE training program.
Set the watch. Out of all the ones we've had, there's only been like 1% that there was multiple shooters. That was Jonesboro, Arkansas, and Columbine. But even with those two shooters, they always stayed together. They never separated.
These are police officers, company employees, and school security guards. They take these teachings back to their communities, churches, and schools. The fear of a deranged gunman is an American reality. That's why this company organizes dozens of classes per month. They adapt to the students' ages. Sometimes school children are taught how to react to an active shooter.
Since Sandy Hook of December of 2012, we've had 74 incidents that involved active killing, from schools to colleges. It's everywhere we go. And as citizens of any country, we need to make sure we're prepared, whether it's the same as a fire or natural disaster, and prepared to increase survivability when that event happens.
You're gonna die! I'll kill all of you! I'll kill you all!
The main message here is that sheltering in place is not good enough. Passivity is frowned upon.
In the building on the north end. Gunmen entering the building on the north end.
The movement, the running, and the counterattacks are meant to put off the attacker.
Front of 102. Window! They're by the window, they're out.
That's it.
You done?
Everybody's by the window.
The instructors say these students have increased their survivability, their chances of getting out alive.
Well, that's it for this edition of Inside the Americas. Do stay with us. You're watching France 24.